So Fraser Nelson is continuing to be the most incorrect man in Britain. It's getting to the point now where I feel like that one fish in Spongebob. You know, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? In the last fortnight, he has written 2 rather odious columns in the Times, and I just have to provide some corrections because he's labouring under the misapprehension that the rise of sectarian Islam will bring people back to church and that crime is actually lower because of migration. Yeah. In his most recent piece, titled Robert Jenrick's Tilt at Power Could Kill Off the Tories, so set your watch for when Robert Jenrick becomes Prime Minister, because Fraser Nelson's like the British political inverse Jim Cramer at this point. He says, immigration shot up under Tory Home Secretaries, but crime almost halved. Immigration has not sent crime surging, but if it had, who would voters blame? Well, probably the folks like you, Fraser, who pushed for open doors immigration when the Conservative Party was still going and said it was Britain's integration miracle, and has been unrepentant when corrected by the likes of Sam Bidwell, Max Tempers, etc. at the start of this year, who suggested that sectarian Islamic voting blocs and the Pakistani rape gangs aren't quite the integration miracle, and that all of this could be avoided if we just hadn't brought them here in the first place. I would like to ask Fraser Nelson a conditional hypothetical. Fraser, in turn, could you imagine how much lower crime would therefore be if we weren't importing foreign criminals? There's about 13,000 foreign nationals currently incarcerated in British prisons. Lots of them are eligible for deportation, but because of human rights legislation and the ECHR, which presumably Fraser Nelson supports being a member of, their deportation is frustrated, so we still can't remove them. Britain is number 1 in Western Europe and number 2 in all of Europe as of 2023 to 2024, for crimes committed by foreign nationals, and that's according to the Global Organised Crime Index run out of the United States government, so not a far-right fringe conspiracy blog. There are 1 in 50 Albanians in the UK that are incarcerated, and they're overrepresented as a share of the population, as are Muslims, by the way, not a religion that is indigenous to the United Kingdom, but one that Fraser Nelson has compared to the Catholics in the past, as a Catholic himself. As a Catholic myself, I'm quite offended. Muslims are officially 6.5% of the population per the 2021 census, but they're at least 18% of the prison population, and now the Muslim Brotherhood, not to be confused with the Muslim Brotherhood, not very creative with naming, but they're running a hell of a lot of the UK's prisons, so again, all of these things are avoidable. We have also 1.2 million illegal immigrants. All of those have broken the law, and I assume he's just setting that aside. Afghans and Eritreans, 20 times more likely than British national to commit a sex offence. Again, all of those crimes do not need to happen if those people were just not here. So every single crime committed by a foreign national is a consequence of government policy. So if immigration's going up and crime continues to fall, that's because of Britain's ageing population committing substantially less crime, at the same time that Britain is bringing in and battery farming at taxpayers' expense foreign criminals and sex offenders. So if we just didn't bring in those foreign criminals, crime would be even lower. Fascinating prospect. And, of course, the rape gangs, which Fraser Nelson accidentally reignited the controversy around. Every single one of those people should never have been in this country, and all of those girls, those thousands of girls, would never have had their lives ruined, or a handful of them and their families' lives ended by these foreign racist predators. Also, in his article, Our Multi-Faith Society Can Revive the Church, he wrote, there is no shortage of people willing to proclaim a clash of civilizations, but looking around, we can see a different pattern, Britain's faiths supporting each other, with Christianity emerging stronger as a result. Now, at the Easter just past, the largest share of catechumens baptized into the Catholic Church were young men. We've got a large share of young people, aged 18 to 34, returning to church, up from 3% to about 12 to 20% in some demographics. And this isn't just all due to the migration of African Christians. This is taking place among white British men, the likes of me, and some people who got in touch to say they watched me, and my presence on media had convinced them to go back to their church and take a renewed interest in theology. So that's all very good. But the reason that Catholicism and Orthodoxy are leading the way, 2-1, outnumbering Anglicans among Zoomers, is because they're the full fat branches of Christianity that don't cave to the progressive spirit of the age. And the progressive spirit of the age also involves supporting mass immigration from the Muslim world. I mean, look at King Charles's Easter message mentioning the apparent shared values of Islam and Judaism with Christianity. I don't think a religion which says in the Quran that cutting the hearts out of hypocrites and non-believers is the supreme achievement in the eyes of Allah, and in the hadiths that Judgment Day will come when the rocks and trees come alive and announce where the Jews are hiding so that Muslims can kill them. I don't think they're all that interested in interfaith dialogue and mutually reinforcing a return to the pews. Do you, Fraser? No, I think that this is a raising of salience among young men who are more likely to listen to Anons on Twitter, or the likes of me, possibly, or the likes of Jordan Peterson, than yourself or any of the establishment conservatives, and are realizing that the tree of civilization has been cut off of the roots of tradition and religion. Meanwhile, there is the growth of a muscular, even militant religion, Islam, across the European continent, and so they need to tap back into the legitimate moral substrate of their civilization in order to renew it and to defend it. And it's quotes like this that do make me wonder whether or not Fraser Nelson is playing like the wrestling heel, as if he's being such an exaggerated ideologue about someone being British if they're born in Britain, and there being no such thing as an English ethnic identity, and that the growth of Islam is good for Christianity somehow, actually. I wonder if he's almost doing that to provoke a kind of reaction from types like me in order to strengthen right-wing arguments and allow traditional conservatism and patriotism and Christianity, specifically Catholicism, to flourish anew. But maybe attributing 5D chess as a motive is far too charitable. Again, I don't see a great vision of ethnic and religious harmony and an integration miracle out of the fact that Muhammad is now the #1 baby name in England for newborns. I see instead factions of a re-Christianizing Gen Z and lots of second and third generation immigrants who 75% of whom think Hamas did nothing wrong on October 7th and 52% who want blasphemy laws for depictions of the Prophet Muhammad. I see them squabbling over whether or not they get a new crusade or a caliphate. So, funnily enough, no, I don't think that the growth of Islam is a great thing for Christian churches in England. And funnily enough, I don't think that mass immigration has done wonders for crime in Britain. In fact, all of the police's focus on arresting 33 people a day, 12,000 a year, for speech violations is brought about to keep community cohesion and tensions between competing identity groups in a kind of state of faux stability. If we had not imported said tribal minorities, see commentary earlier in the show on the brewing civil war between Indians and Pakistanis in Britain, if we had not imported that, we wouldn't need these diversity management strategies of hate speech laws in the first place. And the police could actually focus on tackling proper crimes, because the majority of police forces across England haven't solved a single burglary in the last year. Crime might be down as well because people just have stopped reporting it because they've got lack of faith in the police. I wonder why when they're the Diversity Protection Squad.